Chapter 8. Doubt and Warnings. The cabin was silent except for the faint rustling of pages and the occasional creak of the wooden walls as the wind pressed against them. The air smelled of ink, old parchment, and lingering herbs mixing into a haze of exhaustion and focus. Anete had been reading for hours. She wasn't sure how many. Time had become an abstract thing, slipping past her like water through her fingers. The books Elle had dumped at her feet were as infuriating as the demon himself. Some were ancient, filled with symbols and cryptic phrases that twisted in the candlelight. Others were painfully modern. Magic for idiots had been a personal insult, she was sure. But despite herself, she had started with it, if only to ensure she didn't accidentally burn off her own eyebrows. She turned another page, her eyes scanning over lines of text before her phone buzzed. The abrupt noise in the quiet cabin made her flinch. She frowned, reaching for the device, already suspecting who it was. Sure enough, when she tapped the screen, a message glowed in the dim light. "You better be reading until your eyes start bleeding, or I will tape your eyelids to your forehead." Her grip tightened around the phone, irritation bubbling up inside her. Arsehole. She tossed the phone onto the desk and exhaled slowly, pressing her fingers against her temples. There was no point in getting worked up over a demon being a demon. Still, the fact that he hadn't come back yet, hadn't even checked in, was frustrating. Her eyes flickered back to the books. Fine. If he wasn't in a rush, then neither was she. She needed a break, a real one. Stretching her stiff limbs, she stood, grabbed her coat, and stepped out into the cold air of the forest surrounding the cabin. The streets leading to Dosu's Remedan secrets were exactly as she remembered. Quiet, forgotten, wrapped in the scent of rain-soaked concrete and old incense. The Vudu shop wasn't the kind of place that welcomed foot traffic. Hidden at the end of a narrow alley, wedged between buildings that had long stopped being maintained, it looked more like a relic than an active store. The bell barely made a sound as she stepped inside. The shop was dimly lit, cluttered with old wooden shelves lined with glass jars filled with things best left unidentified. The air was thick with the scent of dried herbs, candle wax, and something metallic, something old. Dosu was behind the counter, hunched over an open book, his white beard barely moving as he muttered to himself. He didn't look up when he spoke. "I was wondering how long it'd take before you came back." Anete stepped closer, her fingers grazing over the worn wooden countertop. "I need answers." Dosu finally lifted his gaze, his tired eyes searching hers. "About what?" "The summoning, the contract, him." Dosu exhaled through his nose, straightening with an audible pop in his back. "I told you already. I don't know what he is. I never did." Anete's brows furrowed. "You gave me the book." "I gave you the book," he repeated, voice measured, "because I knew you wouldn't stop searching, and I hoped that you would fail, that you'd see it was beyond your reach and walk away." His gaze darkened. "But you didn't, did you?" Anete felt something twist in her gut but ignored it. "You knew the ritual was real." Dosu's lips pressed into a thin line. "I knew it was old. Older than me. Older than anything I've seen in my lifetime. I had seen traces of it, references to a being that could be called upon, but never proof. Until you..." The weight of his words settled between them, thick and unmoving. "And now that I have?" she asked quietly. Dosu held her gaze. "Now, you have to ask yourself if knowledge is worth what it's going to cost you." She didn't flinch. I already made the deal. Then I hope you're ready for what comes next. The silence stretched, heavy and full of things unsaid. Then, Dosu sighed and reached beneath the counter, pulling out a small satchel of dried herbs. "Take this," he said, pushing it toward her. "It won't save you, but it might help keep you grounded when things start slipping beyond your control." Anete hesitated before taking it. The weight of it felt heavier than it should. She turned to leave, but paused at the door. "If you could go back," she asked, her voice quieter than before, "would you have given me the book?" Dosu didn't answer immediately. Then finally he said, "No." She nodded once and stepped back into the cold night. The walk back to the cabin was quiet, save for the distant hum of the city swallowed by the trees. Anete reached into her pocket, pulling out the small satchel Dosu had given her. The scent hit her instantly, earthy, pungent, familiar. She pinched a bit between her fingers, rolling it thoughtfully before letting out a dry chuckle. Old man has some sense of humor. It was marijuana. Of all things, Dosu had given her weed. Maybe it was a joke, or maybe he knew exactly what kind of nerves she was going to need to calm in the coming days. Either way, she wasn't going to question it. If nothing else, it'd make dealing with that obnoxious demon a little easier once in a while. She let the satchel slip back into her pocket, her steps slowing as thoughts of the past crept in. The cold night air did little to push them away. She had been weak once, helpless. She had watched as people with real power, men in suits, people with names that carried weight, people with control, took everything from her family. The house, the security, the future that was supposed to be hers. And what had she been able to do? Nothing. She clenched her jaw, her fingers curling into a fist. Never again. Now she was the one learning. She was the one stepping into something bigger than them all. And this time, no one was going to take anything from her. Not a human, not a demon. No one.